Bad boy.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You have tuned in to the flyest sports and entertainment podcast in all the land. This is Stat Lines Matter. I'm your host, Mark E. Stewart, with my partner in crime, as always, Mr. Rob Hunter Jr. And we have a very, very special guest with us today. This man is the founder and CEO of, what's the name of the company? I don't want to get it wrong. It's Basketball 101. Which is a elite development training center based here in Atlanta over the last 2 decades, doing some amazing things. This man, his name is Mr. Dorian A. Lee. He is a fixture here on the basketball scene here in Atlanta, and we wanted to bring him in and learn a little bit more about his business, and he's going to help us break down the NBA playoffs because he is an expert at what's going on. So you guys are going to see what we already know here really, really quickly. So, how are you doing? First of all, I always got to do the check-in. How's the family?
Man, the family is their family. I'm
How's
here.
Marie?
Hey, everybody's good, man. Everybody's good, and let's just say that I'm enjoying being here right now.
Hilarious.
So I appreciate you asking.
Well, I always got to check, man.
And then we just getting off of
endorsement of the family.
Yeah, we're just getting off of spring break. We're just getting off of spring break.
Say less.
And that was well, we got a chance to do a lot of training. So.
Yeah. So Dorian, I want to jump into, before we get into the NBA conversation, I want to talk a little bit about your journey that has gotten you to the place where you are, where you become a part of this elite player development. What got you here? Tell us about your playing career, everything.
I'm going to make a long story long.
Okay, so take your time.
Really, my background, I'm from Mobile,
okay,
Alabama. So it's, football country. I went to Viger High School, spelled like Vigor, but it's Viger High School. We were ESPN national champs in football.
Okay.
ESPN national champs. So we were, highly touted high school for football, but basketball kind of fell by the wayside. So, I never got the type of coaching or training that I think I that would have catapulted me to even more success. So later on, after I experienced my entire college journey, JUCO, going to the University of North Florida and then finishing at Spring Hill, I got into corporate America, man. I played in Mexico for a second. Wanted to get back and start making some real money, got into real estate, and it took me away from basketball for about 8 years. So from that point, I learned a lot in corporate America and the background now, how it lends to being a more thorough trainer. Really, I couldn't replace that what I learned, the information that I got from being in corporate America for these years. It was 8 years or so before I got back into basketball. But my final stop in corporate America was a pharmaceutical sales rep, right? So I thought that was the cure-all, end-all, be-all. I got the company card, got the American Express card. I thought that was it. And then I realized, man, I still work for somebody.
Right.
So at that point, I was just like, you know what? I needed to kind of get back to my roots. And lo and behold, I was with a young lady, rest her soul, I was, engaged to, and we were at a wedding in Boston, and I sat at the same table as Jay Hernandez, and I've told this story multiple times, but Jay Hernandez, who's an assistant coach now with the Charlotte Hornets, was a pharmaceutical rep too. Wow. So we hit it off. He played at Hofstra with Speedy Claxton. They had gotten to the NCAA tournament, got a team that's actually inducted into the Hofstra Hall of Fame, and I was telling him about, I'm 31, I got a chance to go back over to Austria to play. And he was like, man, why don't you come up here and work out with me? And I was like, man, should I work out? I'm thinking he talking about lifting weights and stuff. And he was like, no, I'm skill development, like really working on your game. And I was like, yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying? We had never heard, it was no skill development. Your dad could have.
Right.
Right. Learned it in the neighborhood. It wasn't no come in the gym. We're going through, drop steps and jabs and triple threat. Literally, Vernon Oliver, and he'll laugh when he sees this. My college teammate took me after practice and showed me how to do a V-cut. Now, you're talking about somebody who led the city, or second in the city in scoring behind Antonio Lang, that played at Duke, was Grant Hill's roommate, and I didn't know how to do a V-cut.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And so never heard the term.
Right.
Literally, that was the deficiency. And so he was like, man, how do you get open? I was like, yeah, just shake and move and get the ball. But, it's another way to do it. And so that's how far behind I was.
Wow.
Right. In that, skill standpoint and fundamental standpoint. So I said, you know what, I'll take that train ride. So I took a train ride to Long Island in the middle of February. It was snow. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the individual, nuanced, piece of basketball. It had been just team and, again, one-on-one street ball stuff, but how do you break your man down? All of this stuff. And the crazy thing, Jay was in his infancy in terms of training. He went on and had an illustrious training career, and that's one reason it segued into the NBA. But throughout the years, when I came back, I went to Austria, averaged about 29 for this tour.
Wow.
Had some offers from Austrian teams, German teams, and the final was a Lithuanian team, and they all fell through. And anybody who understands the way this works, the further the summer progresses, deals come and go. They were saying, like, he's 31, what we're going to pay him. We could pay a young guy, blah, blah, blah. And, lo and behold, it didn't work out. So, I said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to set up shop. And I had that idea to birth Basketball 101, which is, short. We call it BBALL 101.
Right.
And that's it. And it started with one kid, Alex Salcedo. I'll never forget. My mom, Teresa, trusted me. And I was in the middle of a jungle. I was at Run and Shoot. So.
Oh yeah, I remember Run and Shoot.
Yeah. When I tell you the environment, a lot of people don't understand this. I mean, literally, guys will walk on the court and say, "Hey man, that can we curse on him?
Yeah.
That bullshit don't work.
Yeah.
Man, what you teaching them don't work." And then I had to go from that, then go over there and bust heads, right, at the same time. And these real stories, and anybody on here disputed is lying, right? So I had this thing. It was a fight, but it gave me unbelievable exposure because we were in the middle of everything. So you had kids coming now from, miles around to come train with me. And that was when I was still, I was 31, 32. So everything I finished was 360 windmills, full windmills. So my knack for showmanship inside of the training,
right,
gave another flair where people like, I want to work with them.
Right.
So really that was it. And it grew from there. And, 4,500 kids later, 19 countries, NBA, WNBA, Hall of Famers, 20 plus Olympians. It's just,
that's amazing.
It's a real story. And it's a story about, kind of locking in on something. I remember my boss when I was was at Norwest Financial, Rufus Hudson. He said, "Man, you're gonna have to plant your flag somewhere, someday." And when he said that really kind of changed my life in terms of, okay, I'm gonna plant my flag. I'm gonna see where this goes. And I was thinking, man, if I could just get 10 kids, at $250, I was calculating.
Doing the math, right?
I could survive. No, and it turned into something, a 6-figure business for the last, 20 years. So
that's great.
It's been amazing.
And I love the entrepreneurial aspect of the story as well. Like that's
you
awesome.
said 6 figures. Can I borrow after the show?
No, you definitely can't. No, that 100% can't. Yeah, you can show up with your hand out.
I was thinking this morning when I was thinking about the show, and when I played ball in the late '80s, there wasn't this specialized
not at all
training and player development. You alluded to that. Obviously, it's good for business. It's the business that you've chosen, and we've seen it grow. I don't know if there's any real prospects that don't work with specialists.
Absolutely.
These days. It's good for business. Do you think it's as equally as good for the game?
I think with everything, you're going to have your advantages and disadvantages, your pros and cons. For me, I think specialized training, if it's not done the right way, is really producing a bunch of robots, even though the robots are high-end robots with a bunch of different, a bunch of different amenities, but they still all kind of play the same way. If you look, when you go back, and Rick Barry made some interesting comments a few weeks ago, and he was talking about, the game, they're allowing them to carry, if they call it by the letter of the law and things of that nature. And so I went back, and I was going to call Rick Barry out. So I went back and reviewed all of his film, right? He did everything perfect. It wasn't one thing. It wasn't one single aspect that was even fringe, but it was still based on what he believed the rules to be. Most people have never read the rule book. So let's bring that back to the training. You can have skill, but the sum of your skill doesn't necessarily equal a game, right? You know, they say the sum of the parts equals the whole, but not in basketball. You can handle, shoot, pass, but if you don't know when, where, how, you know, you don't have the spirit behind it, you still might not be successful. Case in point, everybody in the league is skilled.
Right.
Is everybody successful? Now I know it's some other factors in terms of, you know, big time contracts and popularity and things of that nature, but really is everybody benefiting from it?
Right.
I think what's missing is the thing that we added to it that changed the game. We're a heavy sparring gym, right? So you can do a lot of stuff on a cone, right? But the cones don't reach. They don't slap at your ball. They don't fight back. Right, so you got to get the skill, the understanding. But the way that I shape it is not technical; it's more spiritual. So the spiritual aspect of it is you need to know when, how, where, what, and you got to develop the concepts. And once you understand the concepts, the skill will follow. But sometimes we start with the skill, right? And I'll use an example. I teach you how to shoot, and I say, man, you got to always have your elbow tucked. You got to make sure you follow through. You got to do all of that, man. Make sure that you find the seams. You can create all of this stuff, right? But if the goal's that way and I have you turn this way, do you really even understand the concept of shooting, right? So it's not just technique.
Right.
It's spirit, technique, concepts. You got to be able to visualize all of this. So
how do you balance the idea of individual training versus, like, in terms of like allocation of time for a young athlete versus actually playing and scrimmaging and just going out to the court and balling? What do you recommend to your clients in terms of a ratio?
That's a very good question. For me, it is. I think the skills training would be a little less from a time standpoint than would be your actual under the duress of playing against somebody.
Live bullets.
Live bullets. So. But it just depends on in what aspect. If we're doing scrimmages, obviously, if we're playing multiple games, that's probably going to last a little bit longer, maybe the same as an hour player development session. The reason the player development session is an asset is because when you think of the number of touches that you would get in the course of a game, right? Pickup game. You're the man, you might be dominating the ball or whatever the case may be, but the number of touches, down the floor, somebody shoots, next trip, somebody shoots, third trip, somebody shoots. Worst case scenario, you might be the fifth person to shoot. So that's 5 trips, 1 touch, right? Then you might pass that one, then shoot that time. Like, when do you really have a chance to really hone in on that? So I always think of the process of development, 1-on-1, development, back 2-on-2, development 3-on-3, development 5-on-5, development 1-on-1. So you keep giving them the stuff where they start to feel more confident doing it. You overload like the Matrix, like you dump every single program like they did Neo, everything in, so it just overflows. At some point, it just comes out, but you got to put it under duress. You got to test it out. So the ratio, it may be 2-to-1 playing to training, but at times it may be 1-to-1.
That's fascinating, man. I could literally go a whole hour talking about this business that you're in. One, like you said, you built this from the ground up, but 2, you have such a way of breaking it down, and I think our listeners would really appreciate it. I do want to jump into this NBA playoff picture a little bit. One of the most interesting things I think about this season, I think you've seen a shift from the dominance of the Western Conference back to the East. I think the East is deeper this year. I think probably one of the better chances of multiple teams maybe winning it out of the East, at least in my opinion. I think the top 3 teams in the West are legit. I think it goes maybe 4 deep in the it may be 5 deep if you count Brooklyn. Brooklyn's sitting in an interesting space because they find themselves in a play-in game, which I think they'll take down. As of the time of this taping, that game has not happened yet. But by the time I air it, it will have happened. But I believe that Brooklyn will get through Cleveland and find themselves in round 1 against the Celtics. what's your take on Brooklyn being able to get out of the play-in and then get into the playoffs, and then that is a fascinating first-round matchup.
Anything is possible, right? I picked Brooklyn to win the NBA championship this year, right? I'm on record.
No question.
I'm on record. Sans injury, they will win the NBA championship, right? Now, my thing is, could they lose the play-in? Yeah, right? This is the crazy thing about it. Now, do I think they will? No, I don't think they will. But I think Brooklyn, for me, I knew Kyrie would end up playing. I knew money at the end would talk. And he's going to be, if he is healthy. You got to remember last year, he was they were a big toenail away from putting Milwaukee out without him. Yeah. With James Harden playing
60% maybe.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if he was 100, he still was playing terrible.
Yeah.
And they still almost got out of that series, literally. So I like Brooklyn. I think, to your point, the depth, I'm not so sure that the East is really that deep. I think they're deep on paper. I just don't think when the playoffs hit, they'll have many of these teams will have enough. I don't think Boston will have enough. I really don't think Philly will have enough. Milwaukee, I don't think they will have enough, right? Regardless, I don't think they'll have enough. Miami, I don't think they'll have enough, right? And it's going to be so many other factors that determine how teams advance. Again, injuries,
right,
the way we adjust and coach. But remember, when you got 7 days, when you got a 7-game series or whatever, and all you got to do is focus on this team, it's different than it is in a regular season.
A couple of things that, and I like Brooklyn too. I'm a big Kevin Durant fan and rooting for Brooklyn. My concerns with Brooklyn are this. I think they're deficient from a coaching standpoint. I don't think Steve Nash is good at all. And I don't think he's getting any heat for not being good. I think he's flubbed the rotations. I think guys still don't know their roles. Now, granted, they've managed a lot of injuries, but we don't know. I can't say how he's going to use players that are in and out. Like, is Seth going to play? Like, he got there, and then he's missed about half the games since he's come, and Dragic is in and out. And you got LaMarcus Aldridge who's in and out. But when he's in, he gives you some work, you know what I mean? But then how is he going to be used once he gets in there?
Coming back.
Right. And then now Simmons is ramping up, and how are you going to ease that in? And I have no confidence in Nash to sort that out. The second thing is, I don't think he draws up any, like when you need a hoop, he can't drop a play. They literally just relying on Kevin and Kyrie. Whereas there's certain coaches, like you got guys like Tyronn Lue that can draw up a play. And get a bucket. Like, we need a bucket. And in the playoffs, you find yourself in that position a lot of times. I want them to win, but when they go cold shooting, they don't get enough stops on defense. Okay. So it would be very rare that a team outside of the top 10 in defensive efficiency could go all the way. So I hope you're right, but I think that they could get tripped up in the play-in, but they could also go all the way.
Absolutely.
Which makes it a little wild. My sleeper is Toronto.
That's a deep. You went. But you just took us down.
No, okay. So the two teams I think have been playing the best down the stretch is Boston. Boston's 26-5 over the last 31, best record since All-Star break. They're playing ridiculous defense. But so is Toronto. Toronto's got 6 guys, 7 feet wingspan, second in deflections.
Yeah, Achua, Boucher, Siakam, and the other guy escapes me. But yes, that's 3 right there.
Yeah, but they're long, they're athletic, they lock you up on defense, they ball pressure defense, and they can catch and see where they are. I think they're going to give Philly
Scotty Barnes.
Scotty Barnes is playing amazing as a rookie. I think they're going to give Philly fits. I think they're going to get Philly out of there.
Well, I think
Philly will lose in the first.
Yeah.
Well, Philly. Any team with Harden can lose.
Absolutely.
And I think that for as much as I love Harden,
that's a fact.
I love Harden.
Me too.
But I love he's kind of like a Westbrook guy in this regard.
Absolutely.
I love to watch them play like when they're going hot, when they're going good. I mean, they're must-see television, especially Harden with his passing ability, his ability to score, particularly shoot contested shots and have them go in consistently. So, yes, but as it relates to them advancing, yeah, I could see Toronto knocking them out. I could see another disappointing ending in Philly where everyone wants to burn whatever they play, burn the whole arena down.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you who I like. Now, I guess in the East, like me, it's not. They're the number 1 seed, right? So it's Miami, but it's not number 1. They don't feel, at least in my opinion, like the overwhelming number 1 seed in the East, right? Because the from the 1st seed to the 10th seed separated by 10 games, which is the closest it's been since 77.
Right.
But I think anytime you get Jimmy Butler, especially at home, wherever at home, it's like that's gonna be like he's gonna make it like playing in a prison yard.
Yeah,
and any team going in there, whether it's Brooklyn, whether it's whoever, you Jimmy in the playoffs, and Bam Adebayo, I mean, they play such excellent defense. And you have a veteran coach by Spoelstra who has taken his team deep into without LeBron. They went to the finals in the bubble. So Spoelstra can coach, man. Yeah. So
and your boy wanted to get him fired 15 games into the original experiment.
Yep.
And but anyway, we won't get
So I like Spoelstra.
We won't get
I like Jimmy.
We actually are going to get into that.
I like Jimmy. But how I'm looking at the playoffs, I ain't even looking at like who I think is going to win. I'm just going with black coach. We got 4 black coaches in the West. We got 4 in the East. Now I don't know if they did that on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, I only did that on purpose, but hey, I take it, So I'm going with who I want to win is Willie Green. I mean, it don't get no blacker than Willie Green. You text me that the other day. So if Willie Green and the Pels could win the championship, nothing will make me happier.
Now I'm going to date myself. I'm going to date myself. So y'all remember what's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
Wayne, when he was betting on football games.
Yeah, because of the helmets.
The helmets.
Yeah, because he liked the helmets. Yeah. Yeah. Willie.
That's what he just pulled.
Because Willies don't even make it to this level of excellence. Like, most people name Willie Green. They're like
Willie Green always got to go check on his check with the supervisor.
Right now, Willie Green's bumming a cigarette from somebody. Somewhere Willie Green is bumming, and he need a light. He gets the cigarette. And he's like, hey, you got a light? Like that's what Willie Greens do. They messing with my hours. My old lady on my nerves. That's Willie Green. So I'm rooting for Willie Green.
In the serious sense, who do you feel if you had to kind of put money on 2 horses to come out and get in the Eastern Conference Final? Who would you put in the East?
I'm not betting against Jimmy. I'm not betting against Spoelstra. I think that when it comes down to the playoff basketball, I think Jimmy has shown the ability to really intimidate.
He's a dog for real.
Yeah, really intimidate and really lift his squad. And just in ways that I don't think I don't think Brooklyn makes it past Boston. Boston's number 1 defensive team in the league.
But we got to look over the last. So when we talk about
the
All-Star break,
but I think
we got to look at the schedule since the All-Star break. Was it the toughest? Maybe it was. I hadn't even checked. Though it's so many different factors, right? And the biggest thing is, do people revert back to old habits under the pressure and the scrutiny of the playoffs?
That answer is yes, right? Of course they do.
Exactly.
Of course they do.
You can X him out.
Yeah.
Because you're saying contested shots, whatever. He is notoriously terrible in the playoffs, and part of it.
He's not big time.
Well, part of it has to do with.
He's regular season time.
When you can shoot the basketball, like really shoot the basketball, and that's your primary source of scoring. Harden really isn't a shooter. He's a scorer who can shoot, not a shooter who can score. So when the lanes start to shrink, right, and you can't get to the rack, it's a different psychological effect when you can't get okay, if I'm off tonight, I can get to the rack, but now, no, you got to be on.
Or they're not bailing them out. Well, and put them to the line they have.
Yeah, in the regular season, they'll call in the playoffs, and I like it officiated this way. They're not as quick to blow the whistle. Mm-hmm. So if you're not getting to and that could be a problem for Embiid, who leads the league in free throw attempts. So when you're talking about being able to get to the line, you're customarily used to taking the contact, hearing the whistle blow. So when you don't hear the whistle blow, are you going to come out? Are you going to come out of
Finish
your
through contact?
Yeah. Well, and are you going to let that bother you mentally?
Yeah.
You know,
And
are
it
you
has
going
in the past.
Are you going to
bothered
start complaining to the refs, or are you going to bear down and be able to just be okay? We playing like this now, because oftentimes I see this on every level. When either the coach or the players are allowed to consistently complain, they never stop. And normally they never play well. Whereas if a coach goes, hey, F the refs, we're gonna play through this. We're gonna get through. Like, the refs ain't gonna bail you out. Then a lot of times that takes the attention away from I got fouled to I'm just gonna go in here. Like you're playing almost at a run and shoot or wherever where I know for a fact the whistle's not for a fact, but you're not banking on the whistle to bail you out. Embiid plays for the whistle.
100%.
He plays for that whistle.
And so does Harden.
Yeah, but I'm gonna ask Mark. You don't have faith in Steve Nash, obviously. You know he doesn't have the track record. He's shown some other deficiencies.
Yeah,
you got faith in Doc Rivers?
I'll say this. I think the 76ers are trending in the wrong direction.
Okay.
Right now, but obviously, so much hinges on Harden. Which are we gonna get playoff Harden? Like you said, you tend to revert back. So if sitting here right now, he'd have to prove it to me that there's something new that's happened with him. Yeah. I don't think the 76ers are a real threat. The issue also with Brooklyn, sitting at best 7, is they'd have to go 2, then beat 3, then beat 1. And I don't even know if anybody's ever done that to get to the finals.
Yeah. But to your point, they can do it. Yeah. My problem with Brooklyn is just defensively. It always been like
not enough stops.
That's always, if you look at the guys who win the title year in, year out, it's normally the number 1 or number 2 defensively ranked team in the league. That's when you can say what you want about the Splash Brothers. They were number 1 in defense when they were winning. You know, last year
number 1 in mid-range buckets, where people love to say that the mid-range is gone. They were always top 1, 2, or 3 in the league during that stretch in mid-range buckets.
Yeah.
Opened up everything else, a lane,
right,
and rim.
Great point.
So for me, I don't. Okay. They're Willie Green. Okay, I'm on record with that. But normally, it's not who I necessarily think is gonna win. I just go to history, and I just go to defensive ranking. And generally, that's the guy. That's the team, not the guy. That's the team. When the Lakers won it in the bubble, people say that the bubble helped them. I'm not saying it did or it didn't. They were number 1 in defense that year.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the Bucks were number 1 last year.
That's what I was going to ask. Why? How come? And this is not just here at this table, but this is in the discussion everywhere. How come nobody likes the Bucks?
I didn't like them last year because they won because Chris Paul was out. If Chris Paul was playing, I don't think they win that.
No, I don't.
And then they had to have the heroic comeback. Like, I think they were down 2-0. In that series?
I think Giannis and Jimmy Butler are similar, right? And this is what I mean by similar. Giannis is great. They're different, right? They're different animals. They're not on the same tier. But Giannis can't demand. He can't get a bucket like we believe he can get a bucket. You can ISO him, and he can hit your shot. He can get in the mid-range. He can get all the way to the rim. Usually it's a downhill, some type of whatever, forceful effort to get a bucket. Jimmy Butler just doesn't have the skill to go get you a bucket like that every time. He can have hot games just like anyone can have hot games. When it gets down to playoff basketball, you got to have the person that can truly go get a bucket. And can Chris Middleton do it? Yeah, it depends, right? You can't.
Very skilled.
Unbelievable player, man. But can he do it every single time you
need it?
And he can do it over 16 games.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if he can do it, 28 times. Can he do it 16 times? That's the only thing that matters. That's my issue with the Bucks, with Miami, with Philadelphia. It's that one person or two that can go get you what you need.
All right, we'll put a pin in that. Brooklyn for you. I'm not even ready to say yet. I want Brooklyn to win, but Like I said, I got questions. I got questions.
I think
It's a bold
that's
statement.
fair.
No, it is a bold statement.
Most people, oh man, it's easier to say they won't win
Of course.
than it is to say they win.
Yeah.
I've been saying they're not going to win it ever since KD first got there. So and normally this is the show, he and I, where if we don't wait until things seemingly have, you can predict.
Yes.
We like, if we feel something, we'll say it, So we appreciate that prediction for sure. I have a spec, because if you see it, you okay, no, they're gonna win it, or they're not gonna. Whatever it is, you go out on a limb, and I think predictions. It's okay to be wrong.
I'm not saying Toronto is gonna come out, but Toronto getting. I'm gonna say they're gonna get Philly out of there.
They're gonna get Philly out. So they're going to the conference semis.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying that for sure.
But I
think
it.
And I think whoever they line up with, it's gonna be a problem.
Let me ask you a question.
I think Siakam just plays too up and down.
Chicago's my team. That's my team. They're out.
Okay.
We're
DeMar, they can't muster it
I'm gonna tell you, we not big enough.
Zach can't.
Those guys, listen. They played an amazing regular season. We don't have the bigs. Patrick Williams is a player, but it wasn't. And I said this to you before about a lot of guys. Is there enough a runway to get the plane in the air for certain guys? Ben coming back. Patrick Williams been back maybe 10 games. He had a great game last night. Obviously, nobody playing. It was like damn near summer league, but he went for 35. But it was nice. It was a nice 35 to show what he can do. We don't have the size, and you got teams like Milwaukee who we're starting with that's just bigger than us. They just bully us.
I think y'all a different team with Lonzo.
And Lonzo being out is because what Lonzo gives you is he pushes the ball. He gets you defensively locked down.
Yes,
but
him and Caruso.
What's underrated
and
though,
DeRozan, great on-ball defenders.
But you know what's underrated about Lonzo, and he doesn't really classically run the point unless you're pushing the ball, but he advances the ball quickly and gets you a lot of easy baskets. And in the playoffs, those become valuable because they're not easy to get in the playoffs. Guys get back there working.
That's why I worry a little bit now. So let me step back a second. That's why I worry a little bit about Brooklyn, because a lot of times, even Kyrie, he brings the ball up. Even when you don't have the numbers, just the ability to push the ball ahead to sink the defense allows for a lot of trail scoring opportunities that people miss in basketball because they wait for the defense to be in front. You never sink it. So if you can get the ball out, which again, that's a trait that Lonzo has always had, something that Magic had.
Yep.
Where you got the highlights of Magic running the break, and you just felt like he dribbled up. No, Byron Scott will bring it up sometimes. James Worthy with one hand, right hand, bring it up all the way up, and he'll come back and get it and run it. That's something that's missing, I think, from Brooklyn.
And we're gonna talk about this later, but Magic would push like that on sometimes off a make. He would push off a make, and that was what made them particularly exciting. I don't see it enough, but you see it with Lonzo, you see it with his brother Melo. They understand the importance. I guess they dad taught him this. Push the ball. Push the ball up the court. All right, let's switch to the Western Conference, which I personally think is really about the top three teams. Phoenix, Memphis, and maybe Golden State.
Maybe Golden State.
Yeah, Golden State, they don't have Curry. They're not sure if he's coming back. I don't think they're going far without him.
He's coming back.
He's coming back. They don't know when. They're like, it could go.
He'll be ready for the play.
They said maybe this first round, maybe not. That's what I read as recently as today.
Yeah, nah.
If you ain't got the two-time MVP.
But I have them coming out if he's
So you like them to go all the way? You don't like?
Yeah, I have Brooklyn and Golden State in the final.
Oh, well, I mean that's money right there. Everybody, I would love to see that.
The commissioner would. Yeah, sure. I mean the fans would love that. Yeah, but I mean that would be must-see television.
Well, listen.
Wait.
Clay's
Curry
getting his shot back,
and KD. Well, and he's playing 39 minutes a night, which is what you want.
And he's been able to. Yes. Using that analogy, they've had enough runway to get his game right back where it needs.
Yeah, and then obviously with the development with the injury to Clay, now you've got a guy in Jordan Poole can give you buckets. Gary Payton's played a lot of valuable minutes, so I know we're going deep into the crevices here, but I like Golden State for the same reasons you do. I mean, if you get Steph back, now I didn't know.
Well, he ain't back yet. and they're not sure if he's going to be back.
Come on, light
in the
skin.
first round.
Come on now.
That's crazy because
Or
all I've
and-
heard is that
Yeah.
the regular season was out.
Right.
He was you know, he was going to be.
And he's got ankle history.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Like
he got light skin ankles, like me. A little tender.
What's your take on? I know where he stands, so we'll come back to him. We're gonna let him go second on this one. Talk a little bit, break Memphis down a little bit, and talk about their chances.
I like Memphis. I like Adams because you got to have that not just we use these terms too much, like the dirty work guy, you know, the whatever. Adams is a high IQ post player. The way you set screens, the way you hold those screens, the way you free up folks, the way that you direct the ball. He's like a point center type player, right? Yeah. And a lot of the stuff doesn't add up in the box score. So you'll never know he's doing the things he's doing. The Bain kid, I love, man. I'm telling you, he's a bigger, almost identical version of Jason Williams back at Duke. Short arms, funny. He just light skin, a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
he can really play.
Yeah.
The problem would be the person I like the most on the team. The problem would be Ja Morant.
Sure,
you really can't shoot it. How
streaky?
How are they going to really play when it becomes a true half court game? Those are the questions you got to ask with Memphis, right? They got some pieces. And what's the other Jackson?
Yeah,
Jaren
Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
They got some pieces, but man, are they really battle tested? Like,
well, that's the question. You don't usually see
I don't think so.
A team in their first real push in the playoffs go that deep, but there is precedence with last year's Phoenix team. That was kind of like their first real run, and they were able to at least get to the finals.
In Atlanta too, but that was again circumstantial.
Yeah, I think the thing that should scare you, and a lot of it is matchups with Memphis, is that they're big.
Yeah,
they're big. They're physical, and like you said, they play. I feel like they play, and maybe this is not like 1 to 12, but a high IQ style of play with their main guys. Because even a lot of times, even on those pick and rolls, pick and pops, there's a timing element to how you come, how you dive. When you dive, are you a step slow? You're gonna go quick to allow the guy to move, and they're good at figuring out and reading the defense and playing off of that. And then they got the shooting. Yeah. So I think they're kind of like, I look at them. My sort of comp for them is Toronto, where they're gonna cause problems. How far will those problems take them? I don't know. I'm not prepared to say all the way out of the West. But they're going to cause trouble. You got to work to get through them.
Yeah.
Phoenix been the best team in NBA all year. Y'all don't think they're going to make it?
But rarely. I shouldn't say rarely, because you do have teams that will run the gamut, but they're not playoff. They're not contenders. Like last year. Why did they get there? Like you asked, were they the best team in the West last year? Maybe not. I look at that Phoenix team like the Phoenix that Charles Barkley was on. I thought they were a really, really good team.
Good regular season.
But I think once they get into the meat and potatoes, and that doesn't mean they can't go deep, just like that Phoenix team went all the way to the finals, right? I think they could potentially get to the finals. I don't know. In 7 games, right, not regular season, but 7 playoff games, they can beat Golden State. That's full throttle.
I think the key, and maybe this is an easy observation, but I think the key in a Golden State Phoenix is Ayton. Like, it may be easy to say that, but it's like, I don't know if they have a direct answer for the Ayton that we see this year.
Well, but I think for me, and I think this all boils down to the health of Steph. If Steph is healthy, they beat Phoenix. They beat them.
Easy or
no? I don't think anything's easy. I think it could be like Houston and Golden State some years ago.
Right.
But that was another CP3 injury. That was another CP3 injury, right?
Yeah.
You know what the real
that sank that battleship.
Sidebar, right? Do you know what the real issue with that series was? If y'all really go back. Certain stuff, and this is why I've argued, and this is another episode, this is why I've argued that the team before Kevin Durant got to Golden State was a better team than the one with Kevin Durant on it. Now, top five, the first five, way better than the first five of the team the year before, the 73-19. But what happened was when they were switching and you had Chris Paul getting on KD, it's so inviting to say, you know what, I'm posting him, throw it down. But you're not 100% on post-ups with Chris Paul. And it's not an easy post-up like most people think. So what ends up happening is you get away from what really is your bread and butter, which is cutting, moving, flowing.
The
and
triangle.
It's so inviting.
Yeah.
It's like a dangling carrot.
Right.
And that's what really happened to them more so than just Chris Paul getting hurt. They got sucked into playing an old traditional style of basketball. And you can see the progression. You saw the progression the more that KD was there, 3 years or 2 years?
3.
3.
Yeah, he got hurt.
He got hurt the last
third.
year.
They would have won again. But he started to his usage rate went up every single year. So he bought in the first year. Second year, he's kind of like, all right. Third year was like, look, this is what I do kind of thing, and felt like they were going to get there. And that's one reason he ended up getting injured, because they were playing heavy minutes. The way they were playing wasn't conducive to avoiding that wear and tear. But that's sidebar, but that's one of the main reasons. But I'm with you. I do not believe a healthy Golden State team is going to lose, especially with the experience. I don't think they'll lose to Phoenix.
I don't think they lose to anybody
In a 7-game.
That's interesting.
Meaning I think they win the whole thing if they're healthy.
I'll say this, and then I'm gonna go on record with this. I think next year is their year.
That makes sense.
I think next year is their
couldn't
year. I
argue
think
with you.
this year with Dre, because they haven't had their guys.
True.
We talk about experience, but when Clay came back, what was it, 2 games? Steph was hurt.
Yeah, we
and
talked
Clay
about
was a shell of himself.
I
at
text
that
you, I
time.
was like, man,
they can't even. And then Draymond came back, so it's like they haven't had their core, and that's where all the experience is. Everybody else is new.
Well, because so in your to piggyback on your argument, right? You think when they all are on the court, it's just gonna synchronize,
Right.
But it don't work. Like
It don't
that.
work like that.
Yeah, it don't
Now,
work like
to your earlier point, when the opponent is the same every day, that speeds that up. Now, if you got to go and you're game planning for different teams and you're traveling, doing all that,
and you got,
I think
you get 3 in 2-3 days.
Curry
off.
is and this I get lambasted for saying this. I think he'll go down as a top 5 coach of all time.
I don't think there's any question about that
But people argue with me about that
because they think he had the talent. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh no, that's how I
he's
feel.
a phenomenal.
I mean, because you look at Bill Walton. Bill Walton had lost what? His son
Luke
Walton lost like 2 games when Steve was out. Like, if Steve does this with another goes somewhere else and does this, then yeah, okay. But until then, like, whatever.
Yeah, see, I see that. I think different about NBA coaching, and I see it.
Well, how do you explain this Luke Walton's success, only losing, I believe, 2
because
games?
it was a short window.
But it was all the way up to the All-Star break.
We can use Chicago. Jordan was trending towards the championship with Doug Collins. Now, would he have won 6? We don't know. We're not soothsayers. We don't know, right? At the end of the day, though, right? They were trending. They got into the Eastern Conference Finals, right? But then when you have someone who comes in and can organize the talent a little bit better, you also have a person like an MJ, and we could say Steph or somebody else who say, you know what, we're going to buy into something new, because Steph had the same rejection early on to the way that Steve wanted him to play as MJ had with the way that Phil Jackson wanted him to play in the triangle. So what happens, it's always that point in time where you say, you know what, if I don't, and this is my 3rd coach, 4th coach, whatever, if I don't adhere to it, they're going to start pointing the finger at me. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet, I'm going to buy into it, and I'm going to go. That's why I say Mark Jackson is what we call a in-between coach. He's
Culture changer.
Culture changer.
Yeah.
He was important. He was actually necessary.
Yes.
In order to get Steve to get to that level, just like Doug Collins was necessary for Phil Jackson to receive the credit he's received. But at the end of the day, Steve Kerr can coach, and I mean, I think
I think he can.
Not saying he can't coach. He ain't top 5. I mean, you were very eloquent what you were saying, but I categorically disagree.
Tell me how Red Auerbach with supplemental drafts, paying people under the table to get draft picks.
Yeah,
Hey, that's gangster.
that's
tell
gangster
me.
shit.
with the stogie.
Yeah,
Same with Phil. You think inheriting that team with
I just
MJ?
think Phil went to the Lakers, and I just want to see Steve do it. I just want to see Steve do it with another squad. That's all.
Man, don't go with that. He went to the Lakers. Went to the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe.
Hey,
but he went to
Dale Harris couldn't figure it out.
The Lakers were a disaster until he got there.
But you
Dale Harris,
yes, Dale Harris was horrible.
Okay, you see that? Dale Harris. Your mama tell you to get up and take the shower. Then your daddy come in there and tell you to get up and take the shower. It's a difference between folks now being accountable. Hell, he coached Mike. If Mike, it was good enough for Mike. Now Kobe and Shaq have pressure now.
Yeah.
Because now it ain't the problem. He won with MJ.
You still got to be able to do it. I just want to see Steve do it somewhere else. That's all.
Well,
I think that's fair.
Well, of
Red
course,
Auerbach
but
didn't do it anywhere else.
Ain't nobody talking about Red.
But I'll say this: like, you look at his pedigree as a player,
Except for that.
like working with Phil as a player, and then working with Pop as a assistant coach. His like everything that's been poured into him is grade A, top end stuff.
Think about it, even on a. He is like the greatest combination. You're talking about just from a coaching aspect. He had arguably 2 of the greatest coaches ever that he was an understudy.
Phil.
But he also played
For both of
with
them.
2 of the
Pop, too.
greatest
Yeah, Pop.
players.
Yeah.
So now he understands how to get in roles and how to even communicate what gets people to tick. Because he played with arguably the greatest.
Well, when I hear him talk, I do see why he is successful. But I also, you just have to look at, for me anyway, I'm looking at the personnel. And did he pull the strings on a lot of that? Well, yeah, but I would like to see him do it with a different cast. And I just think for me I ain't saying he's not a good coach, but top 5.
I would even say too, one of his great coaching jobs was getting that Golden State team last year into the play-in.
And then, yes. And then, yes. And then, and like I said, I started my argument with this. You look at what Luke Walton can't coach his way out of a wet paper bag. And he lost, I think it was 2 games, and he was the coach for and we know that the leaders of the conference, when it comes to the All-Star break, those coaches get to coach the teams, right? And Luke Walton found himself coaching the West because of this collection of talent that he took over. And I think that,
talent. He took over a team that was already fine-tuned. It's not a collection of talent. You talking about
a team
let's
you talking about one of the best on-ball defenders.
Can we go down this short rabbit hole and we're gonna climb back out. For anybody to believe that Steph was gonna do what Steph has done, for anybody to say they believe Clay would be who he is, Draymond is a G League journeyman without Clay or Steph.
No way. Not a G League journeyman.
G League journeyman.
No way.
Right? He's not the Draymond Green that we see.
Another black name, Draymond Green.
No, that's exceptionally black. That's like Black and Miles. That's not.
Black and Miles.
That's like
Cisco Malt Liquor Black.
Y'all are terrible.
But my point is this. It's amazing once people become good. How many times have you heard? And I keep seeing people. I got on a dispute this morning. I laugh at them now. But Jordan had 2 3-peats. They only show the picture with Rodman, Kukoc, whatever. They don't show that first team the pictures. There's not a player in NBA history that could have taken that team to 3 championships, except for MJ, honestly. So when we talk about now he had everybody. He had Stacey King. They use this. B.J. Armstrong. He had Will Perdue.
I've literally never heard anyone make that argument.
No, man, I have.
They had Stacey King.
No.
They had
What? No,
yes.
LeBron fans will use that argument.
Yes,
will use that argument.
He had Stacey King.
They were
loaded.
B.J. Armstrong,
100%.
Casey. They will use it, and I'm sitting here saying, are you serious? We didn't think they were going to win with that team.
I'm very thankful to God that I've never been in that conversation before.
I will say this, though. Those were well-constructed
teams. Thank you.
but not with individual
Well,
players.
that's like the
and their
Pistons.
names.
The Pistons, prior
But
to
the
them taking
Pistons
over,
had
the
talent
Pistons,
still.
the
Yeah.
Pistons had a great team to, Joe and Isaiah and Lane Beard. Them together,
Is what made it
were
work.
better than the.
Well, I got to move on. Before we get out of here, I do want to acknowledge late last night, and it happened kind of weird because they didn't even get a chance to get into the meeting, but it got announced that Frank Vogel is going to be the absolute scapegoat for everything that happened in Los Angeles. Real quickly,
Wow.
and you knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming, but I think he got a very unfair shake in LA. I think, and now all my Laker guys are like, yeah, get him out of here. Yeah, he got out coached, and I'm going, when. Frank Vogel's a good coach.
But I've always been on record, so it's going to be a
Let us know. I want to get your. I want to get
smear
your
campaign on me now, because I'm gonna tell the truth about this. The de facto GM is responsible, which is LeBron James, right? I think I've never seen in history a player with such great. He had an incredible career. He will go down as arguably the greatest single career in history. So it's only 3 in that category. Career. You're talking Kareem, Karl Malone, and LeBron in terms of numbers, statistical numbers, right? You add his championships, he's second behind Kareem, arguably, right? But I've never seen anyone who's had the level of talent. Now, you want to talk about loaded, the level of talent, and didn't get the most out of his teams, his players. The Lakers, regardless of injury or whatever, they've had enough pieces on that floor throughout the course of the year in order to be respectable, to make the playoffs. Somebody who is predicted to win the West potentially. They were top 1 or 2 to win the West, that you don't even make the playoffs. So we got to start talking. Is that Frank Vogel?
right.
That's Vogel. No, my bad. It's Westbrook. Oh, my bad. It's
AD.
the rubber knees of AD. Oh, my bad. It's LeBron 37. But then when he scores 40, LeBron 37.
Yep.
It's the same argument.
You
At
preaching.
some point,
You
gotta
preaching
be
right now.
able to just say, look, man, I'm stat padding right now. I understand. I'm trying to secure the legacy. I thought it would be easy. I wanted to take shortcuts, but it's very hard to take shortcuts to championships, right? What happened with your boy a few years ago, what the Kawhi Leonard dude? The Kawhi Leonard dude changed the way. I'm looking directly at you, Rob.
Because you're bordering on.
No,
exactly.
Hold on. Let me finish.
This is a brilliant observation. I'm gonna let you have the last word.
No, I'm
you got
not-
the last word. Let him finish.
No,
Let him finish.
you gonna let me have the last word in the
Hold
promo?
on, let me. Why did? And we can argue this because I got a good friends who Canadians. We argue this. Oh, well, they had already beaten Golden State during the regular season, so Toronto probably was going to beat them with a healthy. The boy came back in 11 minutes, KD, and showed why he was the greatest player on the planet. Kawhi was a beneficiary of him getting hurt, right? So now you believe that 1 year. You remember that 1 year deal. Okay, that's it. So he went to LA. Thought he was I'm gonna play 40 games, 50 games, and then I'm gonna show up and we're gonna win here too. How has that worked out for Kawhi since Toronto?
Nothing.
Right? So what we're saying is that belief that you can construct it quickly and it's gonna become a cohesive unit to win, it's really fool's gold.
He already won a championship in LA. I'm not sure you're aware of that.
Yeah. The bubble gum or the bubble.
The Mickey championship.
Yeah, he already won the
Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
They were number 1 in defense.
All right,
that
I'm gonna
year.
give you the. Rob, I'll give you the last word.
No,
So
there's
two
no
playoffs missed,
there's no.
one first round exit, and a bubble championship. You cool with that?
He already won his championship in LA, and you do know those other teams were in the bubble too, right? Are you aware of that?
Everybody wasn't in the bubble.
You're aware of that, right?
Can I at least, because I was gonna let you have the last word, but let me interject, because everyone uses that. Everyone goes, everybody was like, that's such a basic argument that everybody was in the bubble. Okay, apply a larger context. We in a pandemic at a time when it was literally like a plague. We didn't have vaccines. We didn't have anything. People were dying. There were guys that were in that bubble that didn't want to be in that bubble.
So you think a 36-year-old LeBron James, old as hell, want to be away from his family,
it meant the
away
most
from his bed?
Because it meant the most to his legacy.
That's ridiculous.
It meant the most to his legacy.
It is ridiculous.
But
because you don't like LeBron and you don't like LeBron. So it's convenient.
I'll let you.
So you guys are like the Wonder
Twins.
Twins.
What was said during those meetings, right? And this is not.
Of course you do.
Hearsay. This is.
Of course.
Okay. All right. You weren't there, right?
You was there.
No, but I know for a fact because it's substantiated by multiple sources.
Give me
of how
I'm going to the com app. I'm going into the com app.
Hold on, because I want to let him speak.
How it really played out, right? LeBron wanted to be there because he knew this was his best chance of winning the championship. He wanted to be there. Had LeBron not wanted to be there, there would have been zero bubble during that year. Just trust me when I tell you that. So you can believe what you want to believe. There would have been zero bubble.
But what about everybody else that went inside the bubble? He wanted the bubble. Okay, so that's why he won, because he wanted the bubble.
I'll tell y'all, this won't get on the camera, so I'll tell y'all the whole story after we cut them off.
That's fair.
Right.
And I'll say this too.
I'll tell you the whole
the
story.
NBA ties that I have, which are probably not as deep as yours, they're more on the periphery, but on the peripheral, but it's basically the same story. I mean, it corroborates that it was something that there was a lot of guys that were there that didn't want to be there. There were guys that thought they were cool with it, got there, and then realized they didn't want to be there, because you're talking about what was basically like prison. They couldn't leave. People couldn't come in. Food was bad. Hotel was bad, the whole nine.
The question.
Yeah.
The team that they played against in the
Fifth
bubble,
seed.
What did they do the following year?
Nothing.
I'm going to ask you that one more time, Mark. I didn't hear you.
Nothing. Nothing. Fifth seed. Nothing.
Okay, gotcha.
So, is there anything you want to combat this with, or you just want to let
No
that
emotion.
be?
He gonna combat it with some emotions, some feelings.
No, they won the
Breaking
championship.
feelings,
There's no
fact,
feelings. No, the fact is they won the
They did,
championship.
they did,
That's
they
the
did.
fact. You
They
feel you. In fact, it's the antithesis. You feel like it shouldn't count because they were in a bubble. That's a feeling. That's an emotion.
No, but
then you went to the next season with the Miami Heat. That's a feeling. That's a feeling that you have.
Next year, what did they do the following year?
It doesn't. Why are we talking about the next year? They won the title. So his tenure in LA has already been successful.
I'm talking about
his tenure there has already been
He's had
successful.
3 bad years and 1 good
But
year.
he already won a championship. He already won a championship. He went there to win a championship.
So this is the last question.
Is it his fault? So if he won it this year instead of his second year, that would have made it better?
So this, okay.
He
so
did
this,
it really quickly. That was awesome. When
Fair
he wasn't
point.
hurt.
Man,
Can I ask this last question?
Shannon was on LeBron payroll. You on LeBron?
Oh no, he a promise kid.
See his
He's a
bank
promise
account.
kid.
Where's your bank accounts?
No.
I need your bank account.
He's one of the promise kids. He goes back to Akron and goes to school with the kids. The last question I
that
have,
would be
because
lit.
you were very adamant
Got him a
to
bike
me
and an
about
iPad.
that. Exactly.
That's all he needed was a bike and an iPad.
You were very adamant about, if KD don't get hurt, if the injuries are not there,
Yeah, you know how you
that they win a championship. Why are those set of circumstances
Okay.
different in your mind of going, if this wouldn't have happened, this would have
So
happened?
what's the question?
Why
What's
is
the
the
question?
abnormality of
No.
the bubble itself, the protracted season, the isolation in which they played in? How come those are
No
when it's
fans, no-
LeBron and so he won, period. That's what it is. No questions, no factors in. But then when you go Toronto won, now you want to talk about the factors. How is that different for you?
It's just health, man. If everyone's healthy, those are the factors.
So in the middle of a pandemic,
those teams were healthy. What are you talking about?
Those circumstances.
Toronto won a
Logical
championship
fallacy.
with one of
He's
the best
actually
players
picking
hurt.
it apart.
The reason why the Golden State were the overwhelming
apart.
favorites to win that season is because when you start the season, you're looking at a healthy KD, a healthy Steph, and Kawhi didn't beat that. So you asked me why I devalue Kawhi's championship.
No.
Because
I'm asking
he
you.
beat Golden State. He did not beat their
Hold on
squad.
a second. Understand the question that I'm asking you. I'm asking you,
it's
in that
specific question,
situation, you were willing to factor in extemporaneous things
It's
that
an
were
injury.
Can I finish the question?
Holy smokes!
The extemporaneous factors around the game.
Jesus.
No. What you're not going to do is say it's an extemporating.
A global pandemic
Never
doesn't
heard
count
the
as
word
an
before.
extemporaneous factor.
Did any of those dudes have COVID inside the bubble?
They were in a bubble.
So what? They were healthy in the bubble. Was anyone hurt? Was anybody playing with like?
Do you
who was hurt?
Look.
Hold on.
What injury?
Do you factor in that it was an extended break?
No. What you're doing is you're breaking
from the family.
Did everybody get the break? Did everybody get the break?
Just because everybody got it doesn't mean everybody responded the
Let me
same.
ask you a question.
But that's on them.
Okay.
Can we kill this logical fallacy, right? So it's just a terrible correlation.
No.
Let me ask you this, right?
No. Just because you have a mohawk,
one at a time.
You have a mohawk, and you think what you're saying is more important because you have a mohawk.
We'll go to him and then come back.
This boy has a Rico Suave, and he's loving it.
Rico.
So because you were born in a household, right, that had a mother who was perhaps a drug addict, right?
Oh my Lord!
And one becomes a doctor. One of the offspring become a doctor. The other one becomes a crackhead or a drug dependent person.
This is terrible.
They were both in the same set of circumstances, but the way they viewed and the way it affected them was totally different. So to have to say that in the bubble, everybody was in the bubble. Everybody isn't affected the same.
Exactly.
Especially those who feel like they don't even really have a chance to win. They like, man, I'm trying to get out. I know for a fact I'm trying to get out, right? So again, we'll share that information after the test.
Yeah. Listen, that's it.
And then
one thing that's absolutely clear.
Born with a crackhead.
One thing that's absolutely
The
clear
liver was affected by crack,
that
so they couldn't drink.
Dorian A. Lee will definitely be back on this show to come in as we go through the playoffs. Will you please come back and do further stuff with us?
I'm back.
Because this has been an amazing
I'm
conversation.
I'm gonna bring a bottle of vegetable oil so he can put in his hair the entire time.
Canola.
Yeah. And we can cook chicken off this dude's head right now. If we wrung his head out,
I love it.
Nothing but chicken.
I love it. Well, listen, like always, we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for checking in with our social media, which is Stat Lines Matter on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, and Facebook. And, of course, you can always check our stuff on YouTube.
And what's your social media, too?
And then also share your social media as well.
BBALL101 EPD. BBALL101 EPD, and then also Evolve Basketball app.
If you have a kid or a player, or if you're a player yourself and you're looking to improve your game and get on put the building blocks together to take your game to the next level, you definitely want to go check him out. But listen, until next time, this is an amazing episode. I appreciate Dorian for coming in here. Rob, always great stuff, man. It's great stuff. Appreciate y'all. And listen, I'm Mark Stewart. This is Rob Hunter. Our special guest, Dorian Lee.
Appreciate it.
This is Stat Lines Matter.
Peace.
Bad boy. I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face. I ain't come for games. Say it to my face. Say it to my face.